This, ladies and gentlemen, is not a nurgle. It's one of those toys that you get from Amazon when you're scrolling through at 3 AM in the morning because you're bored and you want to buy something, and you stumble across this that's for under €15 and looks like it could do with a kitbash. And since I've been watching a lot of Dregbash and Morrigan's creations lately, I thought it was time to just dip the big toe into that arena and rustle up a quick kitbash with some kind of monster and nurgle it. So since I don't have a lot of parts to use, I'm just going to keep it simple. Whatever fell out of the box, I'm going to try and use, which means I'm going to have to start cutting off all these little bases from, well, they look like skulls to me. So I'm going to try and cut them off and then stick them onto the actual monster. It would help if I actually had some sharp snips. So I'm just going to use my electrician snips because obviously I'm a professional and I use all the correct tools. So here we go. I'm just going to start snipping away at the plastic bases. They came away pretty easily, and then once I've done all that, I'll just take the edges off and sand them down and then stick them randomly onto the main figure, which I must stress will be totally random and just basically where it sort of looks like it can fit. Now I realise that I'm going to have gaps in between these bits that I've stuck on, so I'm going to start using some I think I got this from Green Stuff World, and it's just like a thin putty that I'll just put on, let it dry, and then I can just sand it down. But while it's still a bit tacky, I'll be able to mash it into the grooves just to try and blend it in properly with the actual main figure.
Do be careful with the hobby knife, big boy. I can see you're an accident just waiting to happen, and I hate to break it to you, but I've no legs, so won't be able to drive you to the hospital.
Thanks, George, for that tip. If you're new to the channel, that was George. Say hello, George.
I'm not your pet, you know. Oh, never mind. Hello, you sexy ladies out there.
That was George, ladies and gentlemen. He's, well, he's the guest resident, I guess. If you didn't see me build him many months ago, go check out my back catalogue. But back with this build, as you can see, finishing off just with some of the bits and pieces. A nice tidy mess on the worktop. And now it's on with the Green Stuff putty. Now this is kind of different to the milliput that you can get. I prefer this stuff because you just squeeze it out the tube like toothpaste and put it on the figure, and then as it's drying you can just go back in with another different tool just to blend all the edges in. So what I'm doing now, I'm just going to fill the gap and then wait until it's kind of dry just to smooth the edges and blend everything together. Then as I was doing this, I kind of realised it would be pretty boring build and a video if I just painted this and showed it off in the glamour shots. And that's why the Pringles can comes into view. It's time for...
Oh, it's diorama building time. I'm so excited for this.
Ooh, let's not get too carried away there, George. I could always stuff this up. So basically what I'm doing is just cutting down some cardstock to size, and then I'm going to cut the Pringles can to the size of the base and stick that down with some hot glue, and then get some XPS foam and just chop it down into little squares. You'll see. Then, taking a moment to reflect, I decided to add some more XPS foam, thicker stuff this time, and stick it down to the cardstock so it would give it some sort of terrain sort of feature because then what I had in mind with the Pringles can, I thought, oh, it could be like a drain, and so I could make a scene from that where the monster's coming out the drain. Sounds simple. Yeah, wasn't that simple in the end. Now, if you're ever fortunate to get hold of XPS foam, like I have to buy mine in A4 sheets simply because no other country or in this country sells it or will sell it to me for some reason. Don't ask me why. I tried to get it from Amazon in a big sheet and they sent my money back and said they couldn't deliver it to where I live, which in this day and age is absolutely mental. So this is the 10mm stuff, and always use a really sharp hobby knife because if you get a blunt one, it'll start tearing at the XPS foam. So what I'm doing is just being very careful and just putting little notches into all the edging, and then I'll go along with tin foil. There's the tin foil, just to give it some sort of texture and break up the dullness of the flat sheet. Now, what I mean by the dullness of the flat sheet is basically once you've done that and made all the edging with the tin foil, once you put your paint on and start doing your little dry brushing, it's going to bring out all the texture and make it sort of look more rocky and a better terrain sort of looking. This stuff is from Army Painter, but I can get this from Amazon. It comes in a pack of 5, under €20, 10mm thick, I think. No, 5mm. 5mm. The other stuff was 10mm. So what I'm going to do is just cut some strips out and make tiny bricks with them, and then hit them, not quite literally, but hit them with the tin foil just to crinkle them up and make them more brick-like. Now the other way, which is the quicker way, which I've probably done or you've seen me do in past videos, is I used to have a little shaker, a little container that I threw all the XPS foam bricks in with some rocks and gave it a good shake so it would bash everything about. Unfortunately, since I moved, I can't find that container or those tiny little rocks, so I'm having to do it the other way. But once it's all done, then I'm just going to hot glue it all together around the Pringles can to make a kind of brickwork tunnel. Then, to ease my pain of having to cut some more XPS stones, I'm just going to use some coffee stirrers just to top off the top of the tunnel, and then it'll be on to the priming. So for the actual diorama, I used a mixture of Mod Podge and black acrylic paint. That seals everything before you start putting the base coats on, top coats I mean, and then any washes or anything like that. For this figure, I just used normal black acrylic paint as a primer, and we're going to skip over this painting of this model figure. I'm not as good a painter as Murray's Creation or Dregbash, so you'll just have to see the glamour shots, and they'll be coming next. So thanks very much for watching, and keep scratching that build, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I've got to say you're no painter like MC or Dregbash. Boy, oh boy.
Wow. Say goodnight, George.
Good night, my sexy, beautiful peeps. Stay classy and remember, keep scratching that build.